Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Toy Paradise. It's been a long week. Fortunately, I didn't. We did go to a lot of places, as you saw. I didn't really pick up a lot of things. Did end up spending too much money. Uh, Tomorrow or today, we should be headed down to Pearlridge. This weekend was the Mega Collectors uh, event. Both sides of the mall, lots of different things. Can't wait to see it. Today's been a long day at work. It's been a long week, as you can see. But like I said, I did spend a little bit of money. I did pick up a few things. So, starting off with the small stuff. If you guys haven't realized, I have a small library of books. Definitely trying to look for more. And, well, luckily Book Off does sell a few books, used books, at Barnes & Nobles. Picked up To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I have to be honest, I've never read this book, but it's won prizes. It's supposed to be something that everybody should read, I guess, from what I've heard. Many schools have asked their students to read these in high school. Mine's didn't. We did read a lot of other things, though. So I definitely can't wait to get into it. It is, or at least was, one of the books that was banned. I'm not sure if it still is. Heard good things about it. Can't wait to get into it. So, when I was growing up, one of the books I read and fell in love with was The Mouse on a Motorcycle. Apparently there are 3 books. I think I read all 3. The Mouse on the Motorcycle, Runaway Ralph, and Ralph S. Mouse. So far I found book 1 and book 3. It's a series that was written by Beverly Cleary. She is also known for writing, and I guess most known for writing, the Ramona books. Beavis and Ramona, I'm not sure how many books Ramona has. I think it's close to 10 or 11. Uh, Mouse on the Mouse on the Motorcycle was made into a movie. I don't know if you can still find it. I remember in high school watching it, or intermediate. Uh, and of course, Ramona, or Beezus and Ramona, Ramona and Beezus was also made into a movie maybe 20 years ago. Can't remember. It has been a while. Crazy how time flies. I had to get this book, The Black Stallion. I never got the chance to read the book. I love the movie. I've watched the movie several times. I honestly like reading the book and watching the movie so you get different views. Uh, when it comes to books and movies, usually they're different. A lot of times they're different, and it's great to see the differences so you can actually understand possibly a little bit more to the story. Uh, the differences in the movies, well, I mean, the writers write the books the way they want to tell the story. In the movies, they change a lot of things. One, because of licensing. Two, because certain things may be boring to society as it is now, as most people want more action or more of something. That's why I don't really get mad a lot about when movies change, because I kind of understand that they will change. Case in point, one of my newer favorite movies, Ready Player One. Watched the movie, loved the movie, was a great ride. Heard a lot about the books, got to read the book, found out it was literally hands down different. For the movie, definitely a lot of the licenses, because in the book you can write about a lot of different materials, different companies, different IPs. In the movie, they're owned by different companies, and it's hard to get the licenses. Uh, Best case scenario, or best way to explain this, in the movie, if you watch the movie, we got Mechagodzilla versus Iron Giant and a Gundam. in the book, we do get Mechagodzilla, we do get Iron Giant, we do get a Gundam, but the Iron Giant is taken out earlier, literally destroyed. So the Gundam has to take on two robots. The other robot that's on the bad guy side is actually Voltron. All 5 lines combined. So the Gundam is actually taking on Voltron. Mechagodzilla is taking on Percival, except Percival is using a special item that he won from a very special game. That special item allows him to become Ultraman. So you can start seeing there is a huge difference. Another difference with the movie is certain characters never really meet. Certain characters meet at different times. And the missions themselves, if you watch the movie, it's very bang, bang, bang. In the book, it's literally figure it out, bang, long bang, short bang, get a key, gotta find the door, another long trip, another adventure, go through another dungeon, find the door, open it to find where the next key is. It's literally, the movie shortened everything, while the book drags out everything. One of the missions, the riddles, Percival actually solves it wrong, which sends him to another world that is where he finds the secret adventure mission that he needs to complete. So many things changes. So a lot of the times I'll read a book, and truthfully I'll love the book a whole lot better than watching the movie. Another book and movie difference, the original Jurassic World. Or not Jurassic Park, their first movie. Everybody remembers the T-Rex. Most of what happened in the movie happened in the book, but there are a lot of things that was kept out to make the movie the size that it needs to be. One of the big differences was that in the book, you find out that there is two T-Rex and a baby. So basically the two T-Rexes and the baby from the second movie is in the first movie. Not to mention, in the books, everything is more centered around the islands, and some things from the first and second book actually takes place on the same island. So the last book I bought this week, Charlotte's Web, E.B. White. For some reason, I still haven't figured out why this book was banned. I don't think it's still banned. Another winner of the Newbery Honor Medal. I did read the book a long time ago as part of the I think it was Elementary's book report. Have watched the live action movie, have watched the animated movie. I I I love the story. So I know a lot of people are asking why Charlotte's Web, why Black Stallion, why some of like Chronicles of Narnia. So definitely trying to get a lot of the books that I read back and create a bigger library, but also, I'll be honest, I still don't have kids, but when, if I ever do, I want them to experience everything that I've gotten to experience and maybe fall in love with. Reading, definitely one of them. Video games, anime, cartoons. And definitely the books that some of the books I read, I want them to be able to read. You, like I said, some of these have been banned. Can't say if they're still banned, but I would love the opportunity for my kids to grow up actually reading some of the books that I read, especially the ones that I've fallen in love with. Charlotte's Web, The Mouse on the Motorcycle, Narnia, Island of the Blue Dolphin, Call of the Wild. By the way, Call of the Wild had been banned as well. There is a lot of books that have been banned that is one of the most shocking things in the world. Like, why? It, it makes no sense. I've been honestly trying to look up why books have been banned and what books have been banned. Not only in the US, not only in my state, but other states, but in other countries as well. So, I did pick up two video games. a Super Robot Tyson for the Super Nintendo, Super Famicom, the Japanese version. If you've never seen a Japanese video game, especially the Famicom, they're rounded on the edge. They don't have, I believe, what's supposed to be down there. So normally this doesn't fit into a normal Super Nintendo. However, a normal Super Nintendo can play this. There is two tabs in the Super Nintendo that you break off pretty easily. Well, I wouldn't say easily, but simple. And the American Super Nintendo literally can play Japanese, American, and European games, I believe. The Super Famicom, however, can't, because where you put the games in is rounded. There are adapters for the systems, so whatever is easy for you. If you've never heard of Super Robot Tyson or Super Robot Wars, if you're an anime fan, you are missing out. So the game itself is a chess style strategy game. They give you a bunch of mechs, robots, and you have to fight a bunch of monsters. And each one can move a certain level or a certain amount of space in certain directions. Each has their own special attacks. As you level up, or as you play, you level up the characters as an RPG. The thing is, they're anime characters. So this game has, well, has more than was pictured, but what's pictured is the Mazinga series, Voltes, Raideen, Dankuga, and Gundam Hainu. Super Nintendo had a bunch of these. PlayStation 1 had a bunch of these. PlayStation 2 had a bunch of these. And the graphics keep getting better. If you're into super robots, mechs, and you like RPGs and strategies, it's a great game to get into. Unfortunately, almost all of the games are in Japanese. The newer games for PlayStation 4 and 5, I believe if you can get the Asian version instead of the Japanese, it is subtitled in English, and most of the writing is in English. I have been begging them to bring this to Xbox. The GameCube had one game. And the game that they did decide to bring to the Xbox 360 was the GameCube game that they ported. still was a great game, was fun, but because it was only sold in Japan, and because a lot of the American gamers didn't really know what it was, fortunately it didn't sell well. But I'm still hopeful that they can bring Super Robot Wars and hopefully uh, Fire Pro Wrestling to Xbox. Maybe another Zoids game. I also picked up the Genesis version of Desert Strike. Uh, Last week you saw I found the Super Nintendo version. Thanks to Bookoff Comic Downtown, found the Genesis. I did play the Genesis version growing up. Desert Strike and Jungle Strike, hands down, one of my favorite games. Both I played on the Genesis. Uh, the final game, Urban Strike, I did play on the Super Nintendo. I honestly was not a fan of them bringing it to the cities. I liked the desert. It felt like the it felt like you were fighting the Middle East or a war in the Middle East. I loved the jungle. It felt more like a guerrilla warfare. Bringing it to the city just made it feel weird. So, I did pick up 3 toys. Well, 2 pops and 1 toy this week. Was not planned. The new Star Wars 614 Hot Topic exclusive, Emperor Palpatine on the throne. So you can actually see the little seat. As I said before, there's a select few Star Wars pops I'm trying to collect. I did want a Palpatine. There is 2 Palpatines I wanted. One where he's throwing the electricity and one that was not created until this, where he sat on the throne. Uh, this is the back, Return of the Jedi, Wicked, C-3PO, the Darth Vader unmask. I kind of did want that until I seen it. It's in I guess a smaller box, but a longer box. Not, it didn't sit well with me. It didn't look well with me either. So he's basically unmasked, sitting on part of the Baka chamber tank that he has. It does have Luke Skywalker, the Princess Leia from the jungle, and of course her bounty hunter. They named it Princess Leia. We all know his name. The other pop I got was Tom Hanks, Josh Baskin, playing the piano. This is one of the ones I kind of wanted and seen it a couple times. Figured I'd get it next time and then it disappeared. There's also the child version of him in the giant jacket and Zotar. Under Zotar it says 6 inch. So that a little bit bigger? I could have sworn I'd seen a Zotar once and it was in these box. I think this is a 3/4, 374, 75. Love Tom Hanks. Love his movies. Love Splash. Love Big. It's hard to find a movie that Tom was in that wasn't good. Funny thing is, he actually made a cameo in Happy Days as well. One of the funniest moments in Happy Days. At least, I wouldn't say the funniest, but one of the key moments that is stuck in my head. So the other thing, the last, final thing that I got, Transformers Masterpiece Prowl. It is a Takara Tomy masterpiece. It is the Japanese box. Whenever you see Takara Tomy, it's usually going to be a Japanese. Of course, Hasbro has the American licensing. So they show that he fits in Optimus's trailer. Gives a picture of the car next to Masterpiece Prime. 2 pictures of him. Kind of shows him with his 2 launchers and without the 2 launchers. So it's supposed to come with Prowl, his gun. Takara Tomy usually gives these, which is cards for their Transformer figures and the instructions. Can't believe I actually found a Prowl. So if you remember my other video about the Collectors Expo at Moana Hotel, they did have a Masterpiece Prowl. That was the, I believe, the Hasbro version. $25. I I don't know if this is the knockoff version. I don't think it is. But usually these run a little under 100. The knockoff versions usually are about 50 bucks. The actual Japanese versions are a little bit around 60 to 70. Definitely happy I got Prowl. So now my Autobots are outnumbering my Decepticons. There is still a lot of Masterpiece figures I want. The reason I'm not really pushing is, of course, the price. A lot of these Masterpiece figures are very pricey, as well as the Soul of Chokogan figures. If you don't know what Soul of Chokogan is, it's basically these. Soul of Chokogan. This is the Mazinga. It literally creates metal figures, and I do mean metal. The real Soul of Chokogan figures are almost all die-cast. They usually come with something to stand on, the figure, and several accessories. So this is one of the smaller figures. When it came out, it was about 90 bucks. Now, this could sell for about 200. Maybe 300. A lot of the other Soul of Chokogan literally ranges around 3 to 500. They are heavy, durable, and if you're into anime, super robots, giant mechs, these things are insane. They have created figures for almost every giant mech anime. Mazinga, Great Mazinga, Boss Bat, Aphrodite, Venus, Grandizer, Raideen has several, Dan Kuga has a couple, Voltis, Combatler, Voltron. They even have Dragonzord and the original Megazord from Power Rangers, as well as the Battle Fever robot, which is the third season of Super Sentai. So literally about seven seasons, maybe can't remember how many seasons Super Sentai was before Power Rangers came out. Of course, each robot is to size of what they're supposed to be, which means Mazinga to Combatler, the differences would be literally what it would be if they both stood next to each other. Soul of Chogogan and Masterpiece Transformers is stuff that I want to collect when everything else is almost finished because of the pricing, because of the price each exhibit. We can talk prices about G.I. Joe Classifieds, Star Wars Black. Everybody's grumbling that pricing is going up for these figures. And they are. But until you start collecting Transformers Masterpiece, until you start collecting Mazinga or Soul of Chogokin, you have nothing to complain about. I've seen, come on, there are Lego pieces that are more expensive than one of the characters. Yeah, as soon as you start collecting a bunch of them, they add up pretty quick. But can you imagine collecting a bunch of Soul of Chogogan figures? Or a bunch of Transformers Masterpiece figures? For that matter, video game consoles. Things that add up. It sucks being the collector. It sucks watching prices go through the roof for what you want to collect. But it is a great feeling to have when you're able to find something and actually buy it. Even with books, finding something you grew up with and remember reading and actually feeling something when you read it is like going back to maybe a NES or Atari game or something you grew up with. How many people can't say, especially in today's world with Xbox and PlayStation, with the way graphics are today, I guarantee you, for those of us who are old enough to who's played Atari, NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis, throw in Aladdin. Throw in Lion King. Throw in Super Mario Brothers. If you don't feel something when you play these games, I mean, it's literally impossible. Anyway, that is what I got this week. I am dreading what I'm picking up next week. Lots of things coming, lots of things definitely dreading tomorrow. I'm pretty sure I'm going to find some kind of Funko. I hope I find something. Until then, again, thanks for watching. If you subscribe, thank you so much for subscribing. It's a huge roller coaster ride. Unfortunately, we are stuck on an island, so the ups and downs are pretty drastic. But that is what makes the ride a bit more fun. Uh, I will say so this coming week, besides this huge mega expo at the mall, Street Fighter 6, as well as Diablo 4, June 1st, possibly next week, pick up my first Lego set in literally 30 years. Yeah, it's gonna be a very hectic week. So hold on for the ride. Hopefully find more books. You know, I definitely would love to hear from you guys. What books do you remember reading in elementary and intermediate? What books do you remember doing book reports on? What books do you remember maybe got you into reading? What video games got you into video games? For me, things might surprise you. As far as books go, the very first book I can remember reading, and I bought it because of its name, Island of the Blue Dolphin. I just wanted to understand why it was a blue dolphin. The book, I do love the book. It was a great book. Definitely didn't get me excited for reading though. I've definitely bought more books after that. The first book that actually got me hooked and got me excited to read was Jack London's Call of the Wild, though. I think every book before that was, this looks interesting, this looks like a great title. Read the book, and you find out, like Island of the Blue Dolphin, there is no blue dolphin. There is an island, is a dolphin, but it's not what I expected as a child. Call of the Wild was definitely not what I expected as a child, but the story itself was gripping. One of my brother's best friends never read the book. New live action movie comes out. I've seen the original live action movie and the second live action movie with Charleston Heston. So, as you can see, that is old. And that was when I was a kid after reading the book. I don't think the live action movies ever really did the book justice. Charleston Heston, great actor, I believe did the character he was supposed to justice. But it's hard because the main character is a dog. The new movie, like I said, my friend never read the book, doesn't like reading. We went to it because he knew this was something special for me, and I kind of wanted to see it, and he fell in love with the movie. He looked at me afterwards and he's like, "Can we watch it again?" So, you know, the story itself is pretty great. As far as video games go, I mean, the first video game I ever played was Pac-Man. The first video game that ever got me like loving video games, surprisingly, will surprise you, it was Burger Time. One of the biggest games that, when it came out on console, on Atari, that got me hooked on console gaming, not just arcade gaming. Because if you remember, the Burger Time on Atari sucked. It was nowhere close to what the arcade was. But the game that got me hooked on consoles was actually Centipede. Yeah, the differences was, seeable, but for the most part, besides the graphics difference, it was literally the same feeling as the arcade. Everything else from arcade to console, it was there, but there wasn't the same feeling. You knew that you were playing the lesser version, if that sounds any. It doesn't sound good, but I mean, it was alright, but Centipede was one of the few first games that actually you had the same emotions, the same, I guess, heartbeat when playing the arcade versus the console. Another favorite game I remember playing the arcade was Crystal Castles with that stupid ball tracker thing, and then playing the Atari version. Feeling very, very disappointed, especially with the one button joystick. Come on, come on, go. Definitely the sounds wasn't there, but without Atari, I don't think we'd actually be where we're supposed to be with video games. And, with a lot of arcades dying, which is the sad part. Home gaming, whether it's PC, console, whatever platform you're playing on, is on the rise. At least in America. In Japan, a lot of gamers are mobile and PC. Japan has always been the future, I guess, because of without Japan there would be no after Atari, no Nintendo, no Sega Master System. Imagine only having the turbo graphics. Without Super Nintendo, there would be no PlayStation. Without PC and Atari, there would be no Xbox. And I mean, who can't forget the 3DO, the Jaguar, the Neo Geo? Gaming has come a very, very long way in a very, very short amount of time. I don't think any of us expected to be where gaming is today 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Same with movies, same with toys. I mean, put an old school G.I. Joe character up against a classified, or an old Star Wars character up against Black Series. We've come a long way as collectors. Even books have come a long way. There are still a lot of writers that write kids' books. But I think there are more writers today that write for teenagers, write for young adults, write for adults than there was when I was a kid. But like I said, I'd love to hear your guys' stories. What got you into video games? What got you into books? What was some of your first toys that you remember? There is some stuff I'm looking at online. That I'm trying to look to see if I may get one or two figures from old toys. Stuff I grew up with. Again, that this is gonna take some time. Some of these toys are crazy insane. But it'd be kind of cool to also have. So we'll see how that goes. So have a good night. Be safe. Take care. Aloha.